I can hear you. I can hear you.
Can't confirm. It's not.
Should be coming through right now. It looks like it's showing up on OBS. It's picking up my mic. So, good Sunday evening.
It's coming through now.
Yeah, perfect. So we haven't done a show in a while. That's because I had my C drive wiped. I had to clean out a malware, which wasn't allowing me to open shit. And I had to reinstall everything. And then, because there's a billion websites, I had to reset all my websites because I forgot all the passwords. That or I'm getting too old for this. So how you guys doing?
I'm well, thank you. And Canuck?
I guess okay.
Okay, seems like everything's working. Although that one window is not switching on the OBS, so I don't know how that's looking on my end. I thought we'd start off with Sussex strategies. And let me pull up, let me make this smaller first. Okay. Quit. All right.
Fred, I can interrupt. I don't know if you want to try to fix this, but we're not streaming on the other Race to the Bottom channel, only on...
Yeah, I because in order to stream on the other one, I'd have to pay extra $20 a month to Streamlabs OBS, and I just don't have the money right now. I had to cancel.
No problem.
So it's one or the other, DLive or this. So if we, if I get cut off on YouTube because I'm showing information that's not appropriate to the YouTubes, if I get cut off here, we can still be live on DLive because I don't think they're going to cut us off. So let's start off with Sussex strategies. And how about I get Canuck to tell us a little bit about the crest view, because just digging around and we found this information through some work that Andy was doing and found some information through some other individual that was releasing some information. But we fell into this Sussex strategies, and tell us about Crestview, and then we'll jump into what Sussex does, which is the same thing, and they're about as big, I think.
Crestview Strategy is a lobbyist group. They work both federally and provincially. And basically, they're made up of people who have political connections to all different parties. Crestview was co-founded by Rob Silver, who is Katie Telfer's husband. And one of their big clients of late has been Gavi, the Global Vaccine Alliance. And, getting money for their drug program. And what else? But yeah, if you go through Crestview's profiles, like they have a lot of connections to the Liberal Party of Canada, the Conservative Party of Canada, Ontario politicians, Alberta politicians. So it doesn't really matter who's in power. There's always somebody to give that magic handshake to. And these are the people who really run the government. So it's not your MP or your MLA or anything like that.
So this is pretty similar in that respect. And I think these guys either may be equal in size and scope, or they might be a smaller outfit than Crestview, because Crestview, their clientele is fairly large, but so are these guys. Similar situation here. They're also a lobbyist group. Paul Pellegrini, very interesting individual who doesn't have, like a lot of these people that become lobbyists, it seems they come straight from some sort of office, either as an executive assistant, maybe a former minister, or working on some campaign, and boom, they just get into a lobbyist group, which if you think about it, if we as citizens pay these people's expenses and salaries, why then do we need them if they just end up going to lobbyist groups to seek either advice on policy making, or they have their own clients that go to the government and ask for money in favoritism? Like, who are they serving? Which interests are they serving? Business or the citizens? And it's most of the time it's business. I know it should be a little bit of a blended approach, because private business is employing citizens, they're providing products, but in the end, it just seems to benefit businesses. So let's just go through Paul Pellegrini. I'm going to try to share this screen. I don't know how this is going to look on the OBS the way I set it up, because let's see how that works. Okay, so it just removes that window. I guess when I stop share, let me just try that for a sec. And does it appear again? No, it's funny, it doesn't. Okay, that widget won't appear. Anyways, we'll just keep moving forward. So let me share that again with you guys. Thought it would. So Paul Pellegrini is the current president, and one of the founders of Sussex Group, along with this lady named Kaplan. He was the president of Health Watch. He was also in strategic consulting services to clients in the public and private sectors. And he has some experience in issues management, crisis communications, stakeholder relations, blah, 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 blah. He, like I said, as I mentioned, a lot of them can be executive assistants. He worked as an executive assistant with Eleanor Kaplan in David Peterson's government, which was a disaster of a government. If you look at his background on LinkedIn, it's not robust. What I mean by that is, like most people, they have real day jobs, right? Either you're a mechanic, a plumber, or you're in an office environment, you're an accountant, you're a manager of a certain department. A lot of these people never had real jobs. So I find these people pretty suspect. It's just basically who you know. So that's him. And
I've got one thing to add, Fred.
Sorry, go ahead.
I looked into, it says at the bottom, Paul is the immediate past chair of the board of Reach for the Rainbow. And if you look at some of the funders for Reach to the Rainbow, one of their funders is Cadillac Fairview, or the Bronfman family.
Really? That's interesting. Yes. And there's that connection to Trudeau, right? Okay, so since you brought that up, I might as well pull this. Okay, I had it here somewhere. Give me a sec. I'm going to pull it up. What's it called? The Children of the Rainbow, right?
Reach
for the Rainbow. Yeah, so this is one of...
Is that other thing we shouldn't joke about?
Right. No joking about that. Shush you. We don't want to get in trouble. By the way, F in the chat for Canucks Twitter account. It's Gonzo. I guess Twitter loves Bonnie.
I shared that video of Bonnie too many times. Her openly admitting there's no science behind cutting off public gatherings or any gatherings.
Yeah. So F in the chat for Canucks Twitter page. You do have a backup account, right?
Well, yes, I do.
You might want to... I'll put that into the notes of the YouTube after we're done. But do you want to? If you want it, you can share that later, or you want to share it now. It's up to you.
Pimp it now.
Okay.
What's it called?
What's your? Do you have your Twitter account? You don't share.
The other one, or should I? Babylon_Beaver.
Okay,
There we go.
Babylon
Everybody
Beaver.
go follow Babylon_Beaver to get CanuckLaw's newest hot takes. Took us a while to get there, but we got it.
Thank you.
You've been drinking tonight?
No.
No. Well, I'm having a beer now anyway, so cheers. So this is one of the documents for Reach for the Rainbow, meeting the needs of rural and isolated LGBTQ friends and neighbors by Ellen Kahn. And you can imagine. By the way, this organization is meant to help handicapped people, but if they're calling LGBTQ handicapped people, hey, fine by me. So yeah, this is one of their things here. And it's geared towards educators. Really cool graphics. I don't know how old these people are, but this is it, right? So I'm just going through it quickly, and this is what the guy had focused on. This one is an American report, but same organization. Yeah.
So he was lobbying for these people?
No, he was the director of this organization.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So let's go to their top page and just go through this a little bit. So you can see they do a lot of lobbying for the government and federal government. So they're actually lobbying at the municipal level and at the federal level. So they're quite big. I'm going to take you to the team. I'm going to focus on Mr. Tavis Namhard, right? And do I have his LinkedIn? Give me a moment. Let's see.
Right there. Prior to joining Sussex, Travis served as the Director of Digital Communications for the Ontario government and Premier Doug Ford. You'll see this trend a few times over with this business, that there were people that worked for Doug Ford and then went to join the lobbying firm to lobby Doug Ford. It's a major conflict of interest, but it's standard practice in business in Canada.
What you don't see here, what you see in the LinkedIn, is that he finished his work with Doug Ford in February 2021, this month. And he got the job immediately with the Sussex group. He's had some, media work with previous governments. I'm assuming that when he says media work, it's the camera guy. So on public service announcements, set up everything, attach the cables, put the cameras here, put the mics set up and stuff. So it's a nice cushy job. Huh?
Clean up on aisle 3.
Yeah, pretty much clean up on aisle 3. Now, I think I might have him. Let's just close that there. Okay, we'll get to Mr. Michael Chong. What was that guy's name? Tavis? There you go. It always remembers. So we'll take a quick look through this. There's our boy. So you can see here is a senior associate. Before he was director of digital communications to the Premier of Ontario. That's basically the department that probably handles his media announcements and whatnot and does the organization. He doesn't come out. You've never seen him speak, right? Then he was a multimedia manager, so basically the camera guy. Prior to that, he was a senior multimedia communications strategist, and then he's an owner of TN Media. He was also associate marketing manager on Station 14. He's a talent wrangler. Canada's Walk of Fame, and then he was again a camera guy intern at Rogers Communications. So yeah, and now he lobbies the government for businesses and other interest groups for our money.
Sorry, when was he at Rogers? I'm just wondering because John Tory used to be CEO of Rogers.
It says
Okay,
here
then
on the
let's-
2014th. So it's quite a while.
Tory, I think, was like 2000 or 2001. Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
so
so
we're
it's
a
much
pretty
longer.
long time, yeah. And that's it for that guy. So let's go back to Sussex. Now, Robert Chavez, we had something on him, didn't we? So, Mr. Robert, an experienced campaign operative staffer. Prior to joining the Sussex team, Roberta worked at legislative assistant for Kingston and the Islands for MP Mark Garriston. Like as I told you, this is a lot of them get started in these little government roles, and then they move into something that's more prominent with a lobbyist group. Chair of Ontario Liberal Caucus in Parliament Hill, Roberto specialized in research for the portfolios of energy, environment, and climate change and national events. He wrote speeches, so he's a speechwriter, advised on legislative affairs, and oversaw the passage of a private member's bill. So this piece here would be something like, can you edit my paperwork before I go present to the committee? Shit like that. Advised on legislative affairs. Why are you, and this could be legitimate, this is what he's done, but why are you advising on legislative affairs? And then he's worked both in federal and municipal levels. So that's him from Carleton University. You guys have anything else to make a comment?
Well, you didn't read the part where it says that he was a youth ambassador to the United Nations World Environment Day in 2017.
Well, I was hoping you would,
There we
because I'm
go.
trying to manage the stuff here in the background.
Advisor on legislative affairs. I think it's strange because why do our elected officials like MLAs, MPs, MPP, why do they need advisors? Like, aren't they supposed? I know theoretically, aren't they supposed to be accountable to the people, the voters who put them into office?
Well, that's my issue initially with lobbyist groups and NGOs too, because they lobby for NGOs, and then these NGOs have policies or specific charters to do things that they had initiated their entity or the NGO as a nonprofit or charity, right? And what happens next is that those policies or their charter may run against the interests of Canadians. And like, for example, Century Initiative, just as one, is a charity which could hire these lobbyists to ask for funds from the government to pursue their charter activities, and their number one activity is bringing in 100 million people into Canada. But then, and this is why I've made that argument before, which is NGOs kind of pretty much run the country. And NGOs are, and most of the time, I would say a good 90% and above, most of the time these NGOs are run by business people, by business executive class people. And a lot of them could have come from Power Corp, BlackRock, you name it. Some of the biggest banking, financial, I mean, Bill Gates is basically a charity, but it's an NGO, right? And he lobbies the government for his interests, like CEPI and the vaccine program. So,
sorry.
go ahead.
You talked about Robert Chavez earlier. Yeah, he's lobbying. Sorry, the big thing I wanted to bring up. He's lobbying for Drone Delivery Canada. He's lobbying federally for them.
Yeah, and let me see if I can pull that up because I had that.
I'll send you the link.
You
I have it right here.
Oh, you have it right there. Okay.
Or should I just share my screen?
If you want, yeah, because I had it here in the show folder, but let me give you the controls to, and I'll let you walk through it. Hold on. Yes, jeez, it's been a while since I've done this. I'm all like discombobulated. How do I stop share? Okay, go ahead. Of course, it won't. I don't know what's going on now.
Sharing is disabled. Okay, here we are. Okay, can everyone see it?
Yes.
Okay, Drone Delivery Canada, Roberto Chavez is a lobbyist at Sussex. Drone Delivery Canada is looking for a more expansive mandate for commercial drone operations in Canada, in particular heavier payload and move to longer range drone operations than currently exists within the regulatory framework now in place or those that are anticipated. And I think private companies flying drones, this might sound paranoid, but a bunch of private companies were hired to fly drones in Australia last year to monitor people. Like, I might be reading too much into this, but are we looking at something similar? And
yeah, again, since we don't have the details of this package, but like from their website when we were looking, it seems like they, which is news to me, they would deliver medical equipment to people up north if they need it. I think Andy mentioned that this is a benefit to people who are outside of the city. You may be stuck hiking somewhere and a helicopter can't land. But yeah, I could, like everything else, like it all starts with good intentions, right? Oh, we have the vaccine, which is a good intention, but in the end, we're finding that's not the case, right?
Yeah. So. And Chavez is a former public office holder, as most of them actually are. He was a parliamentary assistant to MP Mark Garrison, and as a student, he was a policy analyst for the Department of Agriculture and Agri-Food Canada. So he's been in for a while, and most of the lobbyists I come across, because they have to declare public offices, most of them served in some government or assistant to some MP. Like, nobody just goes into lobbying. Like, without connections, you're useless. So
there's another thing that I want to mention. Basically, on the website, this is their about page. It says Drone Delivery Canada is. Oh, can you hear me? I don't know why it's not coming out on the mic. It's not weird. It should be highlighting me, but okay. Never mind. So it says here, Drone Delivery Canada is looking for a more expensive mandate for commercial drone operations in Canada, in particular heavier payload, and move to a longer range drone operations that currently exist within the regulatory framework now in place, or those that are anticipated. We would be lobbying for a change in the Aeronautics Act, RS. I don't know what that is. 1985 in the Canadian Aviation's regulations. It says here, our government-approved drones can maintain temperature-controlled cargo. Well, what's the Pfizer an AstraZeneca requirement. Temperature control, right?
It is. It also, I'm just thinking about right now, it could have to do with groceries, right? For example. But I think it's interesting that it is the temperature controlled to do with the vaccines, potentially. Because when you think about moving vaccines to like the remote Indians, like what they're talking about here in Manitoba, well, it's probably more cost efficient to use the drone than it would be to use a helicopter if you can use the payload. Even if you need 15 drones, it might still be more cost efficient than using a helicopter, for example.
Yeah. And it says here, they said controlled cargo, allowing the transport of time-sensitive medical, pharmaceutical, and biological goods. I don't think they're going to be using these as groceries. I think that's what Amazon's going to be doing. And it says here, the applications are limitless. We can deliver AEDs. You guys know what that is? I don't know, like something. Whatever. Blood, medical tests, organs, biologicals, radioisotopes, pharmaceuticals, emergency relief supplies, vaccines, and more. So they basically tell you there that this is what they're delivering.
AED is a defibrillator.
Oh, is it?
So that kind of
okay.
comes back when we talked about this yesterday off before we did the show. We were talking about, like, say you're out in the bush hiking, right? And you ate a berry and you have anaphylactic shock because you're allergic to it while they can fly a drone to you, significantly less dangerous than a man dropping out of a helicopter, for example, sending the SAR-techs and search and rescue teams. Or even just to locate missing people.
Yep. Now, there was another lobbyist. Let me bring up this again because I'm not showing the webpage. There was another lobbyist named Paul Ty. I'm not sure if I can bring that up.
Friends of Canadian Broadcasting, I think.
This one specifically dealt with. Okay, let me start over.
Here.
Thanks. There we go. So Paul Ty, Sussex Senior, Paul career began while he was a student, working for Honorable Peter Milliken. From there, he went on to the senior and trusted roles at Queen's Park, where he gained a reputation for work, diligence, and reaching out across the party lines. I think these things are like a lot of patting on the back. And I'll open this, but there was something that I wanted to bring up, and I thought I saved the link. Let me go here, because I know you sent me something just now.
I just sent you LinkedIn.
Yeah. So this is Paul Ty. He looks really... Wow, he lost a lot of hair. So he was Maple Leaf Strategies. He was a Ty Consulting. Okay, so yeah, he didn't have... 1 year he didn't work. That's him. That's his own company. I know the tricks here. Senior Policy Advisor for the Minister of Government Consumer. Senior Strategic Communications Advisor. John Milroy, Government Service. Okay. Executive Assistant, the Office of the Alderman, of Giancarlo Cara. Special Assistant. I swear to God, does this guy, you tell me, did this guy ever do a real day's job?
No, none of them have real jobs. They have consulting positions where they talk to people. They're made up jobs that aren't really necessary, where they just play middleman for other people and take a cut of it, right? And at the top of the pyramid, it's always the same fucking people.
Okay, I have something else on him. Could I share that really quick?
Go for it.
Yep.
Oh, come on, where's that? Oh, here it is. Coming through?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, Friends of Canadian Broadcasting, Lobbyist Paul Ty of Sussex Strategy. Now, probably a lot of you haven't heard of this group. They're doing right now some of the same work as CEJA, the Center for Israel and Jewish Affairs, and NCCM, which is the National Council of Canadian Muslims. They want to rewrite our hate speech laws. And legislative proposal, possible amendment to Section 19 of the Income Tax Act respecting deductibility of digital advertising. Sorry, it's in here. Yeah, Canadian Heritage Committee study of online hate and illegal content and promised legislation. So he's representing a group who, well, let's just say they're not too friendly about free speech. And these guys don't just take on one company. They work for different companies with overlapping interests. So they really are a shadow government, and it's disturbing.
That it is.
So there was sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, well, they'll take these studies that create the outcome that they're looking for, and then they'll create media with this propaganda inside of it. That's the spooky part, right? They're making up their own outcomes, showing everybody. Social programming.
Well, there was something else that I was trying to find, and, just trying to, the whole act of getting everything back on my computer and reorganizing everything and rebuilding OBS from the start, blah, 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 blah. What I tried to do is put these links in there, but they are also lobbying the government for a polybrominated diethyl ethers manufacturer. So they're lobbying the government because the government has banned this particular substance. If you don't know what it is, this is mostly what they cover your furniture with, that shit. And it's been shown that it's a carcinogenic. And I'll just read to you here what Dr. Mehmet Oz of cancer.org, he's a cardiologist, and this is what he says. Research has linked exposure to polybrominated diphenyl ethers, or PBDEs, to an array of health problems, including thyroid disruption, permanent learning and memory impairment, behavioral changes, and liver damage. In 2005, the Environmental Protection Agency allowed the production of both the penta and octa forms of PBDEs in the United States after the Environmental Working Group and others reported widespread PBDE contamination in people, households, wildlife, and common foods. While foam pillows and furniture purchased after 2005 are not likely to contain PBDEs, items purchased prior to 2005 probably do contain these toxins. So yeah, this kind of shit that these guys lobby, right? It's never in our interest. It's always, and why would you vote? Again, I'm always harping on this shit because no one listens. No one listens. These people don't give a shit about you because there's always someone at their door with a suitcase of cash. Right? And if it's an NGO, let's just say, for just the sake of an argument where there was an NGO and they really meant well, why do I need a government official then? Why don't we just deal with the NGO and pay them the money to do the policy or do the research that's required? I understand the whole activity of, well, they don't make the laws, the politicians do, but often they make the laws against us. Like, for example, the mask laws. We have masks laws. You have to wear a mask. Even though the jury's in and out of it, because, I mean, you have Fauci who is talking about now having 2 masks, and others are saying maybe you have to wear them till 2021, and you have to still wear them post vaccine. So, and whose interest do these run into? They run into the mask manufacturers. By the way, Sussex Group is also lobbying for a company that does they build the barriers for the COVID and sanitation. So are those in our interest, right? Because it's in their interest to do more. It's, if I was a business running a latex company and I'm making a shit killing on gloves because of just COVID period, wouldn't I want to tell you, yeah, it's really bad out there? Wouldn't I tell you that you need lots of Purell because it's important now during this COVID period? Fuck. It's an amazing business. So anytime something's backed by the almighty dollar, that's what's going to happen, right?
It's all about making a profit, man. Always has been, always will be. And it doesn't matter to the people at the very tippy top because they already have all the money, but all the fools in the middle, they're the ones who take the payouts.
As for things that go against our interest, like our MPs not voting for things, the same thing is related, but the same thing could be applied to our provincial health acts, because each one in all the provinces, that it's specifically written in, that you're gonna have some sort of medical health officer or provincial health officer, whatever name. So these same MPs who hand off their duties to lobbyists will also hand off their governing to, these health officers to enforce laws that aren't even written on the books. So it's out here in BC, you've got Bonnie Henry. I mean, she openly jokes about, there's no science behind any of it, but yet the media fawns over her. It's disgusting. So John Horgan isn't our premier. Bonnie Henry is, and we can't get rid of her.
Well, she's the puppet. The real premiers are the ones that are like the big pharma companies, the bankers, finance companies. They've always run the show. Bonnie's just like a small fish in the pond. She's just, I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to get kicked off of YouTube. Because no one's going to be able to write an F in the chat for me. By the way, guys, whoever's listening, I can't see who's listening. I don't have my Restream chat going app yet, so I can't keep an eye on that. I'm trying to manage the board here, but if there's anyone who could make an intro for me, forget about money donations and stuff, whatever. I don't need any of that. But would be nice for Andy and I is if someone, because I can't afford the editing tools right now. But if somebody's got the skill set, and if you have time on your hands, I'm not asking you to do anything, like if you got some time on your hands and you can make a nice intro, because I'm using tools that were never meant for like video editing or anything. Like I'm using PowerPoints and all kinds of shit and doing all little tricks for stuff that it wasn't designed for. It'd be much appreciated. Okay. So this is I didn't hear about these. They're called just friends.ca. They're not Friends of Broadcasting, I guess, because right now it's very sensitive to be putting that kind of shit up there. So here's our buddy, And this is the guy, the new heritage minister. He's a climate change. Can I call him the big T word? Am I okay? Hopefully this doesn't get us nixed. Stephen Guber. So this is the guy with the famous photo of him being in the orange suit, being led away by police officers. And let's see here. The Broadcasting Act was last amended in 1991, but even though the internet was not front of mind back then, the law was written in a very flexible way that accommodates technology change. The 91 Act allowed the CRTC to govern streaming services like Netflix, but CRTC declined to do so. As a result, streaming services like Netflix, Disney, and Spotify have been allowed to make billions of dollars in Canada without having to contribute to the creation of Canadian stories. And you can probably guess by the crap that's on TV where those Canadian stories may center on, and they're certainly not old stock related. If you get my drift. So the amendments to the Broadcasting Act, online publishers keep pushing hate. No publishers pushing hate, except for the one that seems to be very. It just seems to be acrimonious to the Caucasoid group. The bill creates a new definition, programming control, which means control over the selection of programs for transmission. It then goes to amend the existing portions of the law to clarify that social media companies are not responsible for any content that they broadcast. This represents a fundamental misunderstanding of how social media algorithms work. They are precisely a tool of control. Because of this incredible provision, the bill implies that Facebook can live stream the Christchurch massacre and YouTube can recommend decapitation videos without facing legal consequences. Letting these companies continue to make profit by publishing hateful, illegal content is wrong, and friends oppose it strongly.
Illegal content.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Oh, Twitter got sued a few weeks back. Apparently there was like child porn, like of some 15-year-old boy. They refused to take it down, so eventually the mom ended up suing them. Allegedly. So, they won't touch that, but, make an edgy joke on Twitter, you get banned.
Well, that's where this is leading, because another Frenchie is going to be, and the government dictating. And what it seems like the conflict between these broadcasters and the government may seem like, yeah, these guys are fighting each other. They're not. It's just a show. It's an act. It's a play. So you're like, well, yeah, we got to stick up for Netflix. In the end, they're going to come to a conclusion where they're going to agree. So it says, so while traditional broadcasters like Bell need to contribute 30% of their revenue towards Canadian content, you know what that sounds like, guys? Do you know what it's a shakedown, right? It's a shakedown. If Canadian content was popular, then it'd be popular. But let's be honest, it's kind of fucking boring, right? Plus, they've shut my city down for a couple of days to make a Batman movie or whatever that was. So that was for Hollywood. Was that Canadian content? Who got the money in the coffers? So
and why do you have to, no offense, why do you need another shut down the city for a Batman movie? Aren't we quote unquote the third wave of a pandemic or some nonsense like that?
This was years ago. This was I remember working, and then we had to get out of there because they shut the whole core down. This was the the Batman offshoot movies. I don't remember the name of it, but it had Harley Quinn and all those other characters. That was in 2015. 2015. Yeah, around 2015. So I'm just saying that it doesn't make sense. You know, that's not Canadian content, and they do that. I hear they do that all over BC. They shot Yellowstone, the series, by the way. Yellowstone's a great show. So if you have nothing to watch, it's pretty good. They shot Yellowstone in Alberta. Is that Canadian content? It's a show about cowboys in Montana. What the fuck are these people talking about, right? It's just it's a shakedown. That's all it is.
Can I share a video really quick of something that might be
absolutely.
as far as fake opposition? I would need
audio. You'll have to send it to Fred.
Oh,
yeah, just send it to me on
it's embedded in an article. Is that a problem?
No.
Okay. Here, I'll send it on Telegram. It's the first video that comes up in the. Sorry.
Is this your page?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. At the 28-second mark, there's something that makes you want to scream.
Oh God! Is this the video that I'm thinking about with Rappel, and they're both arguing on the same basis? Like one doesn't give a shit. The one doesn't give a shit about Canadians. The other one just cares about a particular type of Canadian. Is that the one?
Yes. It's a short clip.
The minister going to be advising any exemptions for quarantine requirements on international travelers for any groups, such as those traveling abroad for medical surgery, family reunification, minors under 18, or religious missionary travel?
I can't stand her.
You know, Canada has some of
more.
strongest measures at the border in the world, including a mandatory 14-day quarantine. It's been a very important.
Sure, and we all support that. I'm just for the new hotel quarantine restrictions. Is she looking
for
at
me
any,
to go down to Oklahoma and
exemptions?
visit my husband? Will I have to quarantine? Please no.
Yeah, and we all support that. Rampal quite openly says, "Yeah, we support locking people up for 14 days. We just have within it, we have a small problem with the sexual assault, but locking people up, we're okay with that."
Yeah, but it's not just that. It's but what about the TFWs? Like, are they cool? Because you know they're temporary foreign workers, and we need those. Because Tim Hortons is going to die if it doesn't stay. If they don't get their TFWs.
This is our opposition, quote unquote.
Yeah, these guys are like, oh, I hate these two. I just hate these two. It's you're putting me through torment, Canuck. All right, I'll continue.
Sorry. No, that was the clip.
For any particular group, including temporary foreign workers for agricultural workers.
Including for temporary foreign workers. Okay, get lost. Shut up. We know this heritage minister will be trying to enact laws of hate speech, and he's working with this Friends of Canadian Broadcasting. So, I wonder who they're about. So hold on, before I go there, this is the Sussex group lobbying for the Friends of Canadian Broadcasting. And it's our buddy. Okay, it's Lobbyist details. It's Paul Ty. Here it is. So you've shown this before, right? So there's nothing to go there about. Well, let me see. I thought I caught something here because... Shut up, cat.
I got.
She's just crying. She wants to leave.
They also want to bail out Porter Airlines. Paul Pellegrini's also lobbying on behalf of Porter Airlines to get a bailout for them.
Paul Pellegrino, is that like a tasty water drink?
Or the Lobbyist.
No, it was a joke.
Okay. Sorry, can I just share? Just bring that up really quick. Porter Airlines, Paul Pagurni. Let's see what it covers. Speaking to people about support for the airline sector because of COVID-19 pandemic. So basically an airline bailout. And looking at his profile, he was in the Department of International Trade, Minister's Office, and in the Treasury Board. So 93 to 97, that would have been John Chrétien. So he's an old school liberal hack. But don't worry, there's no conflict of interest here whatsoever.
No, and you'll notice that some of them work for the liberals, some of them work for the conservatives. We know that it's a conglomeration of all of the garbage.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who's in office. It's like, okay, this party got voted out. Okay, so go send this operative to go lobby. Oh, this party's out. Okay, send that person. So it's.
I don't recall. Wish I did.
I was on mute. All right.
Oh yeah, okay. I remember now. I remember now exactly what it was. So I sent you this link from Democracy Watch.
Yeah, and he's actually he's also an associate at Sussex Strategy Group.
I'm on to share my screen here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Share this. So just and this is from 18 days ago, February 10th. It's from Democracy Watch. Democracy Watch sues Integrity Commissioner for letting Ford/PC party connected lobbyists lobby Ford cabinet unethically. And this is all bullshit. Names down here though. So in addition to this, Melissa Lantzman, so on and so forth. Anyways, it names this Alex Simikov, and he was working for Ford during the election. I gotta go open this up. And then after he was done working for Ford, I believe he was working for the campaign. Oh no, so he worked for Caroline Mulroney's campaign. Then he went and worked for Warren Kinsella's The Daisy Group. Then he was a policy advisor to the Ford government, and now he's an associate at Sussex, lobbying the Ford provincial government. It's a conflict of interest.
Yeah, and he made some publications, right? Do you want me to read out the quotes?
Yeah. Here, I got them down here. So interestingly enough, he wrote this article in 2016. They're here, they're queer, get used to them. And within this article, he cites LGB Tory, which is BJ Dichter's organization, as being a grassroots conservative movement for homosexuality in the Conservative Party.
Just remember the same LGBT Tory that was trying to inject those kinds of liberal policies, progressive policies into the PPC. Same guy.
Yeah. BJ Dichter gave a speech at the PPC group fucking gathering thing that happened in, where was that, Toronto, Fred? Does that sound right?
Toronto, yeah.
Yeah, so that's what this guy's doing. So pretty interesting stuff, I guess. So his job is to lobby for whatever other fucking people want. I'm sure this guy has no opinions of his own. They're basically robots, right? They've been programmed to do a job. But that's see here. It's basically it. So we got Sussex, and then we also had this guy, Andrew Brander, and he went to Crestview. That's why we talked about Crestview at the beginning, to draw a comparison to them being very similar, because they're all just lobbying firms, right? That was really really all I have on that. But it
Yeah,
is
so-
interesting that it's all coming to a head as of right now, roughly.
So this is what if you're unhappy with the progressive push by the Liberals, and they're just ever increasingly progressive, and you think you may have a choice in the Conservative party, you don't. It's never going to change. So, and yeah, I think that's about. Oh, he also worked with R2TB Productions. Let me see if I can pull this up. This is a little too bright for my old eyes. So this again, remember we often talk about, Andy, the actors in a lot of these situations. Like, for example, can I mention the Capitol Hill thing and people with names like what did I mention? There was one guy's name was like Liebinggood, and then there was another guy who passed away, and it says Heartache or something his name was, or that British MP who had what'd you call it? The first guy in Britain to get the vaccine was named William Shakespeare, from the town of where William Shakespeare was born. I mean, it's all an act, and you can see this is a sort of a digital production company, a branding company. So you can see where these progressive roots start to slowly embed themselves into our culture. So I think we're finished off with that.
Can I just add one semi-related point to Democracy Watch?
Yeah.
They were also, well, they were in court until recently. They're trying to force an investigation into the Shermans donating to Trudeau's campaign in 2015. Now, the Shermans were killed in December 2017, like, that fake murder-suicide. But yeah, so hypothetically, that could have cost Trudeau his job if the ethics commissioner found against him. I don't agree. I think he'd probably just get like a $200 fine. So I kind of disagree with I'm glad that Democracy Watch is trying to pursue it, but I disagree with the claim that, oh, Trudeau had them killed. It's like, no, like, who could kill them for $100? Like, it's not worth it.
I think
that case still is open, right?
I believe they lost at the Supreme Court last year, because apparently the court said the ethics commission has wide discretion as to what cases they will pursue.
Oh, and just before we close off with Sussex, Mr. Simonovich, he also belongs to this group. So, the Canadian Jewish Political Affairs Committee. Which is like your CPAC in the U.S., but yeah, which is the Jewish club there in the U.S., it's the Jewish club here in Canada.
Yep. I suppose let's move on, I guess. What's next on your list here, Fred?
So the next thing I had on the list, which just give me get my show notes here. Man, I need like 3 monitors. Was Michael Chong and his engagement with Sussex as well through FIPA, Foreign Investment Protection Act, and his work with Historic Canada. And I think you guys had something on that, right? No?
Well, it's funny. Michael Chong and also Aaron O'Toole, back in like 2013, 2014, they were heavily pushing for FIPA, which would sell off like more and more sovereignty to China. They're totally cool with it. But now, just these last few weeks, oh, China's committing genocide against the Uyghurs. We have to declare it, officially declare it a genocide. Like, so why are you guys, letting them in to such a degree, undermining our sovereignty if you think this is happening? Like, it's speaking out both sides of their mouths.
I don't recall exactly the link that I was looking at the heritage stuff last night. I don't seem to have it anymore. But basically what it was is he was working with creating TV shows about like hate and diversity or something, I believe, with Heritage Canada or whomever, which makes like the Heritage Minutes and shit like that. Basically creating propaganda. See if I can find it again.
I'm showing it here, so maybe it's because you guys are sharing. Let me share the screen here with you what I'm looking at. Apologies for that. Okay, so here, the Historica Canada is working to commemorate the era of COVID-19 in Canada for future generations. So basically, they're going to rewrite or script history in the way they saw it, which was like this was the most devastating disease that wiped out hundreds of billions of millions, gorillions of people. And that's what they're working on right now. Historica launched Canada during COVID-19, a living archive of the Canadian experience during the coronavirus pandemic beginning in 2020. They also run something called the Citizenship Challenge, which allows participants to test their Canadian knowledge by studying for and writing a mock citizenship exam in both English and French, presented by Historica Canada, funded by Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship Canada. Has tested over 1 million people as of January 2021. So if we go there, and who is that run by? Marco Mendocini, the guy who just upticked the numbers of immigrants that are allowed to come in. Working with another NGO that's let's just say religiously related to a particular group in the Middle East. But yeah. So if you have anything else, guys, you said you had a link.
I can't find it.
Okay. The next thing we were going to talk about was nanotechnology. And I have a video to play. Where is it? I had it queued up. I think it's in my reset folder. Okay. So I wanted to talk a little bit about nanotechnology because we've talked to the COVID situation, the non-governmental organizations, the charities. We haven't talked about another thing that the UN is working on, because you've heard stuff in the Global Reset program, which is climate change-oriented carbon taxing, COVID procedures, lockdowns, new normals. But that new normal also includes biotechnology, nanotechnology, and the whatnot. So I'm going to play a video. This is from 1998. Keep in mind, they've come miles ahead of terms of like the application of this presentation and this technology. So I'm gonna, let's see if it's gonna allow me to play. Nope, I have to open up VLC. Ah, god damn, I love this thing. All right, so let's play this and go to it. I'll go on mute. You guys can see it?
No, not on Zoom.
All right.
Can see it on YouTube.
Okay, so nanomedicine. Myself and Rob Freitas, we've been working on this for some time. We're with the Institute for Molecular Manufacturing. So let's see if I've got the
And boy, is this guy look like a dork.
Before I start, for those of you who want to find out more about what we're talking about, we have two URLs. One is molecularassembler.com/nanofactory, and that describes the collaboration that Rob and I are pursuing to develop molecular manufacturing. And we also have a nanomedicine website, and that describes nanomedicine, in particular Rob's book on nanomedicine. And the goal that we are pursuing is very simple. We want to build a nanofactory.
Do you guys notice the thing on here? What it says, nuke aging?
I do see.
Wow.
And
I mean, I know he's trying to be cute, but still.
we want to use the nanofactory to make medical nanorobots that can keep us alive and healthy. That's the purpose. So
isn't this just a modified adrenochrome?
let me provide some context.
That's lots
The
smarter.
world around us is made of atoms. The projector, the screen, the building, also you and I. And what we're talking about is the relationship between things that we care about, health, wealth, and atoms, and the arrangement of atoms. It makes a great deal of difference how atoms are arranged. If you take the atoms in coal and rearrange them, you get diamond. If you take the atoms in sand and add a pinch of impurities, you get computer chips. And finally, the difference between good health and bad health is how your atoms are arranged. So that's the core concept. And the second core concept is that we as human beings have been building things, manufacturing things for countless millennia. And we do it by holding and assembling parts using positional capabilities, positional control. We have hands. And we can use those hands to build a huge range of products. Today, it is very difficult
I was just thinking this guy's like, can I say Mr. Humpty? Sorry, Mr. Potato Head. Except the opposite.
Well, that's changing. This is some recent research. Actually, this was research done by Costanza's group in Japan, and that group actually won the 2009 Experimental Feynman Prize, which went to Sugimoto Abe and Costanza. And the work was for, well, you can see the picture. They were able to take individual silicon atoms on a silicon surface which had been coated with tin, and they were able to spell out Si, which you see in the lower right-hand frame there. So they were able to arrange the silicon atoms on the tin-coated silicon surface in a very precise pattern. And they did this at room temperature, which is rather dramatic. Most of the previous work, most of the previous things you've seen where there's, a corporate logo or whatever, were done at very, very low temperatures in order to provide stability. This is done at room temperature, and they're actually making and breaking bonds in the process of building these structures. So for this work, they received the 2009 Feynman Prize, and I should also mention that the prize in theory for 2009 went to Rob. So I think he did a wonderful job.
Sorry, I didn't mean to say 98. I was mistaken. It's 2009.
Congratulations. In doing not only theoretical work related to this, we have a paper on the theoretical aspects of mechanosynthesis, or arranging atoms using molecular tools, but also in a whole range of other areas which I think you're all familiar with in nanomedicine and in kinematic self-replicating machines and others. Okay, so that's experimental. So the concept is, gosh, if we had molecular tools, then we should be able to build molecular structures, complex molecular structures. What do these molecular tools look like? Well, here are some examples. These are specific structures, and you have to imagine that there is some larger extension. So you have the Empire State Building here, and it's coming down to this teeny little tip, which has a very specific structure. So we wave the Empire State Building around and perform operations on various structures. But as you can see, there are a range of tools. I won't go into their specific functions. Suffice to say that we've done theoretical analysis using standard computational chemistry software, which shows that, yeah, these tools should work. You can use this tool set to build another self-same tool set. You can use the tools in this tool set to recharge themselves, and you can use the tools in the tool set to build other useful molecular structures and molecular machines. For example, you could be able to build a hydrocarbon bearing. This is a bearing, a molecular bearing. It's, again, theoretical, but if you could build it, it should work as advertised. There's been some analysis on this kind of thing. It's fairly simple. It's simply a flat sheet of diamond bent.
Well, back then, this was like in 2009, right? And my apologies to the people. I thought it was 98 for some stupid reason. I think I saw some other article from 98. But you said this looks like a snake eating a snake, right?
Into a tube.
Yeah, it does sort of look like that, the snake eating its own tail. Same with CERN, right? CERN's kind of the same deal. It's the snake eating its own tail. But like, it's interesting. They want to make little machines inside you, just like big machines outside, but on fucking nano scale. You know, maybe they can make a little dump truck and a little excavator, and they go inside me and clean out my junk. You know,
that's pretty much it, right? Like these different molecular tools are able to assemble, reassemble for whatever they want. Again, at this time, and I'll tell you a little bit about this organization, because they morphed into what is called the Foresight Group, which works with the UN University. And I'll show you some articles there. And just kind of, this is a light touch. There is so much to dig into with these groups that it's mind-bogglingly huge. So it's probably like a month's worth of research just to go into what they're talking about. But I'll play a little bit more. I won't play it to the end, but just I want people to see what they've built, this like hypothetical bearing with this arm, this tool, like a wrench, molecular wrench that they've created.
And just before you start it, Fred, like I just want to say, like, with all this nanotechnology, all these little bits that they're making, they're all conductive, like electrically conductive. They all, like, that's one of the main points, is because they're conductive, they can operate together. So you think you live in a world of, Wi-Fi signals and 5G and shit like that. You get all these little conductive bits in your body. Is that going to cause damage? Is that going to make it operate?
In this case, he's talking about using, like, they're not conductive. What he's talking about is using.
They want to use carbon nanotubes. Nanotubes.
Not in this case. He's just putting molecules together, existing molecules that could be used to be. Maybe they've changed things, and I would need to look at it. But in this case, he doesn't mention it, right?
Okay. Because I did a little bit of reading about carbon nanotubes, and basically they use them to make molecular structures, just like exactly what he's talking about, basically.
Interesting.
And that's stuck into another flat sheet of diamond bent into a bigger tube, so there's a shaft and a sleeve, and it looks as though it should rotate quite easily. So there are various things you can build. This is an example of something you would build with hydrocarbons. Another something that you could build with hydrocarbons would be something much larger, a robotic arm. If I'm talking about using molecular tools to build molecular structures, then it would be useful if I had a molecular structure which could hold the molecular tools to build more molecular structures. And if you look in the lower right, you'll see that tiny little bearing, which is right there, and that's the bearing from the previous slide. So this is a robotic arm. It has some millions of atoms. We have not done a detailed analysis showing where every atom is located in this design, but it should be feasible in principle, and in practice, when we get to the point where we need that, I would expect that we could design it without too much difficulty. So that provides the background before we go into nanomedicine. Now, one of the core observations here is that disease and ill health are caused largely by damage at the molecular and the cellular level, very fine scale. But today's surgical tools are huge and imprecise in comparison. In the future, we'll have fleets of surgical tools that are molecular, both in size and precision. We'll also have computers much smaller than a single cell to guide those tools. So we're going to see dramatic advances. For example, that robotic arm I showed you, in the scale of things, looks like it's very small compared to the mitochondrion, and not much larger would give you an 8-bit computer. So these devices are small and could deal directly with molecular structures. We have here a, quote, typical cell, unquote, if I can use such a term. Our robotic arm has vanished into a dot. We see the mitochondria inside the cell. They are now relatively small. We have structures like a respirocyte, which I'll get to in a moment, or a microbovore, which are also relatively small compared with the cell.
Okay, that's about as enough as I can handle. Just so you know, the mitochondrion is a energy station, sort of, which is prints out ATP, adenosine triphosphates, or as energy or fuel for the cell. I think if I remember correctly, man, it's been a long ago since I've taken this shit. But that's it, and that's in terms of the nanotech and where we are. Let me bring up the Foresight group, and I did see your message there, Canuck. We'll bring that as some of the quick hits. We'll talk about. Geez, I thought I had these guys. Give me a sec. Sorry, I thought I had the Foresight group. Let me bring it up. Okay, here. So there, the Mountain Beach project, it's still there, but it's kind of blown out into a bigger organization called the Foresight Institute. Wow, my mic is all... Do I sound funky, guys? Like I...
Yeah, you just went all fucked up, but you went
I went all...
DD.
Yeah. Hold on a sec.
Your voice changer quit working, Fred.
My voice changer. No, I'm not using a voice changer, but
No,
I sound fairly sexy. I'll finish off with this, and then I'll let you guys speak a little bit, because otherwise I'll be trying to fix this on the go. I don't know what the hell is going on with my PC. But anyway, so this is the UN University updates to future scenarios. The American Committee for the United Nations University, which I worked with for some recent years, and its Global Scenarios, which is compiled since 1997. So that's where I got that 98 thing here. Both normative and exploratory styles in time ranges of 20, 25, 2500, and 3000. Most interesting issues with respect to temporal, like, guys, I once watched a documentary about quantum computers and the dangers of them creating different realities, and nanotech working with AI to create matter, all sorts of matter, mountains, cars, whatever. So of most interest are issues with respect to temporal mechanics, quantum entanglement, yikes, this is interesting. Interspecies ethics. Yeah. And the fact that almost all scenarios assume that nanotech will be used by military and terrorist organizations at some point. Despite
Aren't
that,
those the same thing?
Sorry?
Aren't those the same thing? The military and the terrorists?
Yeah, I guess so.
At least they're being honest. Hey, we might inject, your puppy with, mind controlling microcomputers, but it's for national defense.
So it says here, despite maybe I can fix this. I think I know what's going on here. Despite that, a positive pro-technology tone prevails throughout. So, now, this is a huge organization. I'll post a link. As I said, I kind of wanted to lightly touch upon what these guys do. Obviously, you can see ARPA is engaged, and they work with the UN, right? What does the future hold for molecular machines? James Arthur Cooper is a 2021 Foresight Fellow and Transmembrane Molecular Nanotechnology, Chair of Foresight's Molecular Machines Group.
God, that makes me seriously nervous, man. Transmembrane molecular nanotechnology. Whatever the fuck that is, please no thanks. I do not want that in my body.
Well, transmembrane, there's a cell actually has a barrier of a layer of two, right? Hydrophobic.
I know. I don't want to go in through the membranes. That seems like a bad choice.
Well, it needs to enter the cell, yeah. So that's what it's going to do. It's going to go through that hydrophobic layers, the cell wall, and be able to go in and out at choice when it wants to.
Yeah, it's going to periodically change your makeup.
They could do dependent how far they are with this. It could be like a Swiss Army knife on a molecular level that does everything.
It could be in those little sticks they shove up people's nose. I've heard the suggestion that the vaccination is actually to test those test sticks.
It could be.
And they're just mass vaccinating people for over a year now.
Maybe they weren't working that right, going through the nose, and now that's why they got to put it up your ass.
I've heard people speculate that there's fucking nano fucking dust or whatever on the end of the Q-tips that they stick up into your brain, and maybe that is the case, or maybe it isn't. I don't think we're probably going to prove that. But I think that with these nanotechnologies, if ARPA is working with these guys, that's military. They've already worked on it, and now they're just disclosing it to the public.
So I'll continue here, and then I'm going to get you guys. Maybe I'll go I'll put a break video.
I have something I'll read after this.
Yeah, because I gotta fix this. This is it sounds like I'm melting, like the nano machines are eating through my brain. Anyway, in September of 2020, he took a position as a lecturer at the Organic Chemistry at the University of Reading. I'm assuming that's what it is because it's the UK. His group's research interests focus on the study of systems chemistry, membrane transport, molecular machines, particularly the development of stimuli responsive membrane-bound assemblies, and coupling replication processes with compartmentalized architectures. Well, that's a mouthful. On this side, this guy, and this is probably where your thing comes in, program director, fellow recruitment and coordinating project management across the agency, Kiziali's focus on ARPA-E includes, and this is what I think you mentioned before, right? Power electronics, wide band gap semiconductors, electronic systems for hostile environments, electrification of transport, aviation, ships, and automotive, subsurface instrumentation, novel drilling concepts, medium voltage DC distribution grids, grids resiliency, EMP,
against EMP and space weather threats. Prior to joining NARPA, Kiziali served as the founder, chief executive officer, and chief technological officer of Avogi Inc. And we're going to be looking into all of these things because, like I said, there's a lot to unpack here. But he's engaged in the vertical power semiconductor technologies and power electronics. But why is he being mentioned here in the Foresight Institute, which just does AI and nanotechnology and biotechnology? So you could be, on the thing, and they have a lot, right? They have artificial molecular motors, programmable molecular synthesizers. So there's quite a bit. Like there's a lot here, and they work with the UN on this program, which is rolled into the 2030 program. But I'll hand it over to you while I try to fix my mic here, man.
Yeah, okay. Right on. All right, where am I going to start here? Sorry. So, like, we were talking about carbon nanotubes, right? I'm positive that we went over this once on the show before, right? I've got this, so I'll just bring it up. And I moved it off the screen. There we go. Try again. All right. Carbon nanotubes as optical biomedical sensors. Biosensors are... I got an echo coming from you, I think.
Is it better now?
Yeah, I think so. Biosensors are important tools in biomedical research. Moreover, they are becoming an essential part of modern healthcare. In the future, biosensor development will become even more crucial due to the demand for personalized medicine, point-of-care devices, and cheaper diagnostic tools. Substantial advances in sensor technology are often fueled by the advent of new materials. Therefore, nanomaterials have motivated a large body of research, and such materials have been implemented into biosensor devices. Key point right there. Have been implemented into biosensor devices. Among these new materials, carbon nanotubes, CNTs, are especially promising building blocks for biosensors due to their unique electronic and optical properties. Carbon nanotubes are rolled up cylinders of carbon monolayers, graphene. They can be chemically modified in such a way that biologically relevant molecules can be detected with high sensitivity and selectivity. So that's just kind of talking about that. But Fred brought up like the early 2000s and the nanotechnology. And I found this report recently, and there's more stuff that goes along with it. It says, U.S. report foretells a brave new world. This is from July 23rd, 2002. A government report says we will alter human evolution within 20 years by combining what we know of nanotechnology, biotechnology, IT, and cognitive sciences. And with this, it also ties in quantum computing, because they need to be able to do things at the very smallest macro scales. The 405-page report sponsored by the U.S. National Science Foundation and Commerce Department, Converging Technologies for Improving Human Performance, calls for a broad-based research program to improve human performance, leading to telepathy, machine-to-human communication. So I think Neurolace or Neuralink. Elon Musk got two. You look up Neuralace. That's totally different than the little wires connected to your fucking brain. Amplified personal sensory devices and enhanced intellectual capacity. So, got to have a hard drive in your brain because you're just too stupid to remember anything. People may download their consciousness into computer or other bodies, even on the other side of the system.
One thing that I would sign on to this program of having, being wired into kind of a more artificial intelligence, being wired that way, is to get me off this fucking rock. Because if I was smarter, I'd build a rocket and get off this fucking planet, because the way it's going, I fucking hate it. But yeah, I see this, but this is crazy. This this think Vulcan mind meld. This insanity. They don't talk about this. They're already there. That's the problem, right? These guys are already there, but they're saying we're getting there.
Yep. July 23rd, 2002, right? So and there's older documents that go back even beyond this, right? But yeah, it's interesting. Like, people may download their consciousness into computer or other bodies, even on the other side of the solar system, or participate in a quote hive mind, a network of intelligences connected through ultra fast communication networks. Kind of sounds like 5G, doesn't it? The Internet of Things. Well, you wire yourself up and you went from being a man to being a thing. You're just an item, fucking commodity. With knowledge no longer encapsulated in individuals, the distinction between individuals and the entirety of humanity would blur, the report says. So that right away rings to me gender confusion. Think Vulcan mind meld. We would perhaps become more of a hive mind, an enormous single intelligence entity. Probably controlled by quantum computers, AI, nanobots, right? So I think 20 years, that we're on 20 years and we're only a few years away from really seeing these things become more mainstream. Well, let's finish it off. Armies may one day be fielded by machines that think for themselves, while devices will respond to soldiers' commands before their thoughts are fully formed, it says. So let's think about, this is what the Soviets did during the Cold War, was they had computer models and algorithms or whatever to try to plan everything, right? And the way it worked was because the computer is always rational. But let's say the armies do have thinking for themselves machines. They feel threatened. They're a fucking robot. So they kill a human? Like, where is the ethics in this?
They're only as rational as the retard that makes it. But just so you know, this was written in 2002. I don't know if you guys ever heard about the Purple Project, which Apple was running and rolled into all of their development of their tech. The iPhone was part of that Purple Project. So
yep.
It's a nice correlation because basically, if you think about it, we are in a sense already pegged to AI or connected technologically through some sort of device, right? With your iPhone or your Android phone or any smartphone, right? You're constantly looking at it. You're constantly connected to the weather, the map view, what your friend says about you online.
Yep.
It's not a far stretch for people then to start putting this shit in their bodies.
Yep. Like I pulled up this article about neural lace, which is Elon Musk's other thing that's not neural link, right? And this is exactly what we've been talking about tonight. The premise behind it is that they're going to put little nanobots inside you, basically, and then they'll all assemble into a web in your brain, and they'll implant themselves. And it even says in this article somewhere, I can't recall exactly where it is. Yeah, right here. Musk says that since neurons depend on constant blood flow to function well, a neural lace could be injected into the jugular and then carried via blood to the cortical neurons. Such a procedure, though frightening in theory, would be far less invasive than brain surgery. So there's your cell, right? Well, it'd be pretty spooky to have wires hooked onto your brain and a little computer thing. So why don't you just do this? It's less invasive.
Well, he has a pod, right? He featured his pod, like it'll be in every mall. So you just, you know what? I want to have a chip in my head. And then you would sit in this pod and literally like just slice off your skull cap, insert the chip, and then it would stitch it back on. And you're like, yeah, ready to go. And he thinks this is normal. This guy is such a snake oil salesman. Like, why don't people get, like, he's a genius. Yeah, he took a fucking RC car and he upscaled it into a car. It's just a giant battery. It's not revolutionary. They had him long time ago. He just made it cool and fancy for the rich that can afford this stuff. By the way, nobody ever thinks about if everyone had 2 or 3 cars in their driveway and now you replace them with the electric cars, what's that going to do to the power grid? Right?
Yep.
And they look at this guy as some god, but do you ever hear him speak? God, like, he doesn't sound normal at all. He's like, and he married a vampire.
Well, and I talked to my dad about this yesterday. I was like, when you listen to Elon Musk, he just sounds like a fucking retard. And then he says to me, he goes, well, they all do, like, you know, fucking Mark Zuckerberg and the rest of them. It's like, yeah, but like the thing is, those guys are just front guys too. They're actually dumb as fuck. They're not idiot savants. They might be a little bit autistic, but what they are is basically mind slaves.
I don't know about that. Like, I mean, I think I have a different opinion about these people. I think they are intelligent, but I think they're crazy, right? You could be intelligent and crazy at the same time. There's been lots of examples of this. He's just a very good, he's intelligent because he's a very intelligent con artist, because all this shit, like his space programs, where do you think that money came from? NASA's broke. Man. What?
It's a scam. It comes from the government. It's
right, and it's you and me, and like, for example, his car sales dropped like a stone when Hong Kong announced, yeah, we're not doing any more of this subsidy programs. And my neighbor, remember, guys, I used to tell you my neighbor had one of those SUV Teslas. He returned it. He got a Honda Accord. He's like, yeah, this fucking constantly in the garage. It was, you know, you'd open the stupid gull wing doors, and like, either when it's raining, like the whole car at the back gets soaked because it's such a wide gap, or there's like a bunch of snow that goes in, and it's just not practical. It's not practical. And he keeps selling, like, what? Like, let's look at what he invented, right? A flamethrower, and not like the military flamethrower like they used in fucking Vietnam, which, you know, shoots a flame 200 feet from where you are. It's like a torch. Okay,
he created a gimmick.
He created a gimmick. What was the other thing he created? Oh, I'm gonna put people in like again, it's like the car, an oversized bullet cartridge, and shoot you down this pipe like through a barrel of a gun to your next death. Like, you can't move, you can't do anything. What? Like, this guy's ideas are insane. I don't even believe, and I'm not being. Sorry.
They're all gimmicks. You got to the root of the problem here. It's all just one big scam. There is no high quality product. It's all just a big scam. Is bringing in promises and then not really making them happen. Think about all those Teslas that were on the fucking lot for the longest time, just sitting there, not being shipped out. Everybody's going, oh, the wait time for a Tesla is just ridiculous. It's like, yeah, they're all just sitting on the lot. They didn't actually sell that many. Well,
that's because also that Samsung won't, or it was either Samsung or I forgot the name of the particular battery manufacturer, said, we will make a plant within the plant at your plant because we don't want you taking our technology. And then he did say he was going to start making his own battery technology, and that's why his car. But like, honestly, they're just people. You know, I'm sorry, I'm going on a rant. Maybe I've had too much beer tonight, but this is mind-boggling that you get these fucking nitwit environmentalists. They're like, yeah, I gotta go get a Tesla. Okay, what is 99% of the fucking car inside made from? You got a giant TV in the front console with all kinds of elements that are required that you know, they hire some African or Chinese guy to dig, you know, 100 feet in a hole. He's only 14 years old to pull out that rare material. Like, what do you do with that car what do you do with the batteries? You know, it's a joke. Like, people don't think like that in those terms. What's that going to do to your electrical bill when everybody has a goddamn electric car?
They're raising hydro rates too, so it's a double-sided.
Look, it's carbon tax. So,
or
like,
another
just being an
option. Sorry. You know how, like, in some cities they have, like, say, if it's an odd day of the week, odd street numbers can water their lawns. If it's an even numbered street, houses can water their lawn. Maybe they might have something similar with cars. You know, these are the days you're allowed to charge your vehicle.
They did that in the United States during the fucking like the 80s or whenever it was when the gas prices tanked, or the 70s. Depending on what your license plate number was, depending on which day you could get fuel. Even numbers one day, odd numbers another day, because there was a quote gas shortage. There wasn't, They just jacked the prices up and created artificial shortage.
I'm saying we should work towards getting something that's kind of renewable, maybe a blended, like we still have electric cars and there's other, but we've made miles and miles of advancements in terms of the basic carbon engine, right? It's more reliable. It requires less benzene to keep it going, better oils, better refined oils. The marginal difference in what you're going to gain from this technology, and let's say just reducing the use of a vehicle, like having cities there that you can commute in a much easier way than having fucking cars everywhere, or just stop immigrating people. That's the other thing. And I'm going a little bit off a topic. I'll let you talk. But it was announced not too long ago that Doug Ford was going to rip up and tear up the fucking Greenbelt. The Greenbelt was the last kind of nice area where you can drive a little bit up north and go for a walk or hike in a nice forest. And stuff. He wants to rip that up because he wants to build a whole bunch of fucking condos because Mendocini had increased the immigration rates. So. Like, how are you helping anything? Everybody's going to have a fucking car that's loaded with all this plastic. But anyways, sorry, I got off a tangent. I'll let you go.
It's okay. I wanted to finish off with Elon Musk and his shit. We were talking about his scams. The best scam he ran was that he tweeted stocks at $4.20 or whatever, $4.20. Then he went on Joe Rogan and 420 blazed it and tanked the stock prices, just manipulated the stocks in front of everybody's face. And then we called him out on it. Joe Rogan's podcast is sponsored by Elon Musk. And on Joe Rogan's podcast, it's interesting. They talk a lot about concussions and brain injuries. Joe Rogan is supposedly fascinated with it, but it's just part of his script. And that's because Elon Musk's Neuralace will solve brain injuries in 4 years, but not everyone's buying it. And it's talking about concussions and shit like that, fixing traumatic brain injuries. So why does Joe Rogan talk about this all the time? Does he really care, or is it because
let me put it into this perspective? He may care, may not care. I think that's irrelevant at this point, but what's relevant is that we barely understand what causes autism, and these quacks think they're going to figure out, and that's why I'm a little bit apprehensive in terms of where they are with their nanotechnology. But again, I can only go by maybe they don't want to cure autism. Maybe they actually know what causes autism. Maybe it's all the fucking chemicals that's out there and the leaching plastics. Who knows? But I wanted to mention that.
No, fair point. I'm just scrolling through the article in case anybody wants to pause and read. But that's really all that I have for this. All
right, so I'm going to continue. I'm going to kind of close it off, and then we'll do a little bit of a quick hits session. So let me do this here. This is so we'll do deeper dives into all of this shit here, but just wanted to bring up the websites here. So this is I didn't think this was real, but yes, this is a United Nations university where people come together and they share their ideas and goals. And you can see here, explore or work on the 17 global goals, sustainable development, explore. I'll get into this website a little bit more. You can hear UN Insights monthly digest of the latest research, commentary, jobs and across the UN system. Of course, they got the vaccine. Some of the articles are, is COVID-19 shifting attitudes towards sustainability? A case study from Amsterdam. This one is the most interesting one here. And it's somewhat related. It says here, this is mind blowing. There was, I think his name is Wolfish on Twitter. Check him out. Am I correct, Canuck? I think I made you fall asleep.
Yeah. Resurrection Europa on YouTube.
Yeah, Resurrection Europa or at Wolfish.
So he said something really interesting, which I use now every time to talk to my liberal-minded, retarded friends. Or just, it doesn't have to be liberal-minded. It could be conservative too. Fuck. But he said this, 3 months in, Okay, fine. I'll give you that. Right? You're seeing the trend. 6 months in, 1 year. 1 fucking year. You don't ask questions. You don't do any research. You don't do shit. You're just listening to the crap that they're feeding you. And it's crap. It's always been crap. And, you know, with all the reset, blah, 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 blah. But read here. This is the UN organization and the so-called university, right? Such a global reset can produce universal benefits in the form of a healthier, more just, safer, kinder. Now, what is just, what is safer, what is kinder about me waiting to get into a fucking mall with my kids because they're going crazy, so we can walk around and be human again, and you having to line up and some security guard, probably GS4 TFW, in bad English, asking me, have I been sick? That's ridiculous. If you think about it from the perspective of a normal, everyday conversation, yeah, I had the flu, I had the sniffles, I had a cold. If I had said that, they would fucking they wouldn't allow me and my kids into the mall. So you lie. What's the point of that? What is the point of this blocking off and having people wait in the line, in the rain, in the snow, in the fucking cold, in the heat, to get into the mall, to walk around? And you have to have a mask and this and that and everything else. It's to train you like fucking stupid seals. So when the time comes, and it's coming, when they have the little app, and I'll play a video, they have a little fucking app, and this is from Canuck, where they'll just block it off and you'll scan it through a system and you'll be permitted to enter a gym, a place, you know, it's insane. And this here tells you nothing, just whatever they say, it's the opposite to me. And look what they say here, a more spiritually connected society. A UN historian, Paul Kennedy, noted it's difficult today to recapture the optimism of, let me make this bigger for the folks that are watching because they may not see, optimism, high spirits of those who, in the latter days of the most devastating war in history throughout, thought that the New World Order, Jesus Christ, the most devastating war in the history, thought that a New World Order was possible, had already arrived. And what did you say, Andy? This is the revelation of the method?
Yeah, pretty much. The revelation of the method, showing you exactly what's happening. And they only show you what's happened after all of their plans have come to fruition. Comes straight out of the Rosicrucians. Don't recall the exact quote, but it was basically make manifest of all that is hidden once all of our plans have come to fruition.
Well, they also drop little hints here and there. It's like, and I know this is kind of obvious, but you'll get the articles in CBC or Global or whatever. Oh, should we impose mandatory masking? Should we restrict people who don't take the vaccine? Should we have a contact tracing program? So it's you drop hints just to get settled in people's minds, and then a few months later, yeah, by the way, guys, we already did it.
Yeah. Fred, you should really play that video.
I'm going to play that video. Should I play that video right now for the folks?
You should play that right now.
Yes,
like, I think that this stuff's pretty interesting, like the psychological manipulation of people. Fred's going to play this video, and it goes right back to masks and everything else of monkey see, monkey do, right? Even if they don't understand why, just do it.
For your viewing pleasure.
That question, we set up a hidden camera experiment to see if this woman would stand up at the sound of this tone, simply because everyone else is. You might be thinking you'd never go along with this. Or would you? After just 3 beeps, and without knowing why she's doing it, this woman is now conforming perfectly to the group. But what happens if we take the group away?
This is not possible with me.
Turn the volume down a little bit. Yeah, because somebody please take their fucking coffee out of the microwave. Been done 15 minutes.
Okay, now
Just kill the guy already. Fucking heart monitor's going crazy.
Watching her, except our hidden cameras. What do you think she'll do? She's now conforming to the rules of the group.
Look how embarrassed she is too.
There.
Like she knows she's doing something
Now,
wrong.
watch what
She doesn't know
happens
why
when we
she's doing
introduce
it.
Another outsider who doesn't know the rules.
Have a seat, and they'll be out in just a couple minutes. Great, thanks so much.
I like this guy's expression at first.
Yeah, he's got no idea why she's doing it.
Everybody was doing it, so I thought I was supposed to.
Think
Everybody
she'll teach
was
the new
doing
guy
it,
what to
so
do?
I thought I was supposed to. Fucking better.
We kept the
Goddamn
cameras
people.
rolling as more unsuspecting patients arrived.
Weren't we talking earlier, Fred, about the hive mind?
Yeah. But like as I was saying, and Canuck, jump in anytime, man, because you are now the co-host of this show. I said before that they're using this. We're susceptible to this shit. Like I'm a contrarian. Like everything that somebody does, I want to do the opposite. So I wouldn't even stand up. Like, what's wrong with you, fucking people? Sit. But this is ingrained into our genes because we're a gregarious animal, and in order to survive, we had to mimic and copy what the group did. Because we think that if the group was there and being successful, we would then emulate their success. Just an example, the Chinese, if one fucking opens up a noodle shop, there'll be 100 noodle shops by the end of the year. Right? Because they all think, oh, this guy's being successful. I'm just going to copy what he does. And a lot of the shit we do today is just shit that our ancestors have done. So it's understandable. But the fact that in modern times, nobody questions anything. Like, nobody here walks up to the thing and says, what's with the fucking noise? Stop it. Like, what are you doing this for? And I would need a credible answer. Because if the beep goes and you don't stand up, your seat's going to explode. There's like a bunch of dynamite underneath. So yeah, it's a quirk in our programming. But the fact that our minds are not working and asking about it, and that's what Ajit Varkey talked about, TAM, the theory of mind. People are willing to remove the risk and doing what outside of the group, and question everything, have a higher TAM, have a higher theory of mind. Basically, what he's saying is these people are stupid. Anyways, watch. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Canuck.
I was sending some videos of because Bonnie's a gold mine for just really horrible things to say. Even when I show videos of people like in Bonnie Henry, plain English, saying there's no science behind any of this, I still can't convince some people she doesn't know what the hell she's doing.
Well, try the opposite. It's working for me. I like. It's like, okay, if you don't want to, you should. Like someone says to me, "Oh, I'm going to have to get the vaccine." Absolutely. When did you get? You should get it as soon as possible. They're going to run out. If they run out, you'll never be able to get it. Did your niece get it? Oh, not yet. Great. You got to get her vaccinated too. Is there anyone else in your family need to get vaccinated? Go. Because
creep them out to get them to not take it.
So he started getting a little bit. She started getting a little bit nervous because she was like, "Why are you pushing me on this now?" No, I really think you need to get it. Absolutely, go get it. So either like it helps me in both ways, because first of all, if this vaccine can sterilize a bunch of people, great. my kids are going to have a future. If whatever, if they stick around, it doesn't matter in the end. It helps.
It benefits me. And there goes my fucking mic again. But anyways.
Yep. I just want to say, like, what you say, operating on a different THAM or TAM or whatever the fucking that means. It's no different than, like, the New Agers. They say, well, people are operating on, like, a lower vibrations or lower frequency, right? Basically, they're operating at the lowest capacity that their mind is capable of, because that's what they've been, programmed to be. That's what Facebook and shit like that will do to you, essentially.
Well,
people who, and, like, just let me finish. Like, it's not saying that all people are like that, but the people who are more capable of, like, self-reflection and thinking, for example, they're not the ones who will end up in positions like these people are, right?
No, like, and there's very, like, in societies, like, for example, farmers, people who live in rural communities are probably better apt at surviving catastrophes than city people, because city people have services, right? They could rely on the ambulance is going to be there in seconds. Someone's always there to fix your car, or someone down the street knows how to deal with computers. Like, it's the luxury of having a bunch of people living together that somebody knows something and you don't have to. Whereas when you're out in the fucking country and shit, you got to be a pretty good strategist and kind of the type of person that knows everything, not expertly, but fairly good enough to be able to survive on your own, right? But in terms of the theory of mind, what this brain surgeon had brought up was that pets don't have a theory of mind. You could put a dog or a cat in the mirror, it's just going to look in the mirror and walk away. It doesn't recognize itself. Where you put a monkey, it has the ability to say, "Ooh, look, me." We have that, but we have a higher level, because I can empathize with you being over the fucking digital lines and understanding, what you might be going through, and then on a bigger, grander scale, like the planet, right? But anyway, let me play this here. Canuck, you wanted to say something else?
I wanted to say something else.
Sorry, go ahead.
Like, with these people too, and, like, the hive mind or the group consciousness, the group think, like, it's perpetuated in the media, right? Everybody thinks the same thing because they're told the same thing in the media. But when you're in a small room like this, like, you ever been in a room where everybody else is angry and you're not? And then eventually, over a short while, all of a sudden you're kind of angry too. Like, it's kind of the same premise as the confused state that these people were in, and then they just conformed, and now they're not confused anymore because they just know what they're supposed to do.
Well, it's the same with the masks.
Yeah, that's what the bell does at school. The bell at school trains you for when you go and work in a factory, and 5 o'clock is quitting time when the whistle blows, right?
Yeah. Canuck, you wanted to say something before I hit play?
No, I'm good.
And slowly but surely,
I would figure that the black woman would have said something.
what began as a random rule for this woman has now become the social norm for everyone in this waiting room. Here to explain what's going on in their brains is Jonah Berger of the University of Pennsylvania.
This sort of internalized form of herd behavior is part of what we call social learning. Starting at a very early age, when we see members of our group perform a task, our brains literally reward us for following in their footsteps.
When I saw everybody stand up, I felt like I needed to join them. Otherwise, I'm like excluded. Once I decided to go with it, then I felt much more comfortable.
Okay, that's enough of that. So, if you apply that to masks, it's why everybody's wearing a mask, right? I do an experiment for the folks out there. Just like I did this shit before. Like I would stare at something closely, intently, and then someone would come walk by and look at it at the same time. They're kind of like, "What are you looking at?" There's something there. And then the group would get bigger and bigger and bigger. clubs used to do this, right? They used to just have people stand in line, and then everybody would line up.
Yep. I think next time you go and get your insurance, you should just randomly stand up and see if other people start doing it.
Yeah, actually, I might, or anyone who's listening, try that. It's an experiment. But just getting to this, and then I wanted to read that nano thing. In 1945, the UN inherited the same challenges faced by earlier experiment in global cooperation, the League of Nations, for every voice favoring the creation of institutions committed to global cooperation, that another warning against the erosion of national sovereignty. This fierce debate continues today. Meanwhile, the UN remains unable to escape the fundamental paradox of international bodies. So they're calling countries a paradox. So
the paragraph that you skipped is interesting. You just scroll back down a tiny bit. It says, former U.S. ambassador to the UN, Richard Holbrooke, expressed it famously. Blaming the UN for a crisis is like blaming Madison Square Garden for the New York Knicks play badly. You are blaming a building. So they're basically taking all accountability away. It's like, well, the UN or a body, but really it's just a building, and actually like there is no liability, or it's find it funny.
And there's just one more thing, and I'll leave it at this. And I'll leave a link to this. It's a very interesting article. It says The Great Pause. Does that sound planned or what?
Isn't stagnation bad? Isn't it usually when the economy stagnates, when the economy goes tits up?
Yeah. Canuck, any word on that?
Yeah, what was the Great Reset too obvious, so they watered it down to the Great Pause.
Imposed on us. Words are important, folks. Imposed on us by COVID-19 is to become a transformational moment. The level of change has to emerge from the hearts and collective conscience of humanity.
But yet I still get called a conspiracy nut for saying, yeah, maybe this is just an agenda for something else. Like they're ending it.
Yeah, they are. And here. And if you think we're all crazy conspiracy nutters, we're not. And I'll play another video for you here. And this one is from your website. I just shortened it a little bit because I wanted to kind of be brief about it. But this one here, watch this. And don't tell me this isn't conspiratorial. This is their plan.
Often, it's hard to see the effects it's having on our children. Has this conversation taken place in your home?
Mom, I'm scared about going back to school. I don't want to get sick, and I don't want to get you and Dad sick.
Our scientists tell us there are 3 things we must do to stay safe. Wear masks, make sure we social distance, and wash our hands. And now, your school, with the help of Microsoft Corporation, has created another.
Microsoft. Brought to you by Bill Gates.
And Microsoft also is, they're one of the founding partners of ID 2020. But that's just a conspiracy theory.
It's just a conspiracy. Like there's no collusion between banking, finance, tech, and government. Green agenda. Nope. Just a coincidence.
Introducing Daily Pass, your exclusive ticket for safely going back to school. Each week, you can schedule your free on-campus COVID test. The results are displayed in your Daily Pass.
Also notice, because this is in California, they didn't say it was like Johnson or something. It's Ramirez. So...
You notice they play upbeat music too, eh? It's very
gets
you bouncing along, right? Makes you move. You're like, yeah, this is good because it's got the happy music. It's like
happy, joy.
Who doesn't want nasal rape every week or so? Like, who doesn't look forward to it?
It's like the commercials for drugs where they play like a grandfather and his grandkid running through the park having a good time with happy music. And then they're in the back, they're saying, hey, you're probably going to die. And you might shit yourself and you're probably going to puke if you take this, but you should today because happy music and play with your grandkids.
Yep.
And if you choose to take your test off campus, you can post the results in your daily pass. And the moment vaccinations are available, you'll simply be able to schedule yours through your daily pass.
Bitch.
But the real magic is your daily health check. Just answer a few simple health questions every day, and like magic, your entrance ticket appears.
Company that I know somebody who works for, I won't disclose who it is, I guess. They have a daily COVID-19 check that they're supposed to do on an app that they have to use for work. A person that I know has never used it before, and all the other guys at work, well, you have to fill it out. You're going to get in trouble. It's like, there's no reason for me to fill this out. Apparently in Vancouver, the construction workers or something, they have to fill out this COVID check sheet every day, basically, but not on Vancouver Island where I know this person.
And
but they're slowly programming people to just be used to this. Just do it every day. It's not a big deal, man. Just do your paperwork.
Apologies to the chat, guys. Next week I'll be doing this weekly with Andy and Canuck. Saturday or Sunday we'll pick a time. I'll get more regular. It's just I haven't set up my chat embedded app, so I can't see what you guys are talking about. I see it on the OBS, but I don't see it here. So, and I'm trying to manage the board. So, yeah. But like, what happens if she puts in that she had a cough? Kids cough. Kids get colds all the time. Like, are they now going to then quarantine her?
And the family probably.
Let me put this to you. We can lie right now, right? You don't have to tell the truth. If they put some sort of biomedical nano sensors in your body, do you still have the ability to lie, or is that just going to fill in that gap?
They change color, like the nano dot shit. So like if you have a cold, they change red. If you have like COVID, you go green.
Well, because you're going to be part of the Internet of Things, you're just going to be another thing in the network. Your nano sensors may just transmit data freely to your cell phone, right? Because you want to monitor your blood pressure and your heart rate and stuff like that. While also it can monitor if you've been coughing too much today, or if your fever is slightly, you should be at whatever and you're a degree above. Well, maybe you should try to do something to fix that, right? That's the joys of having sensors. That's why you have gauges on your fucking car, right? Tell how warm your motor is. And that's just a thing, just like we will become, if you buy into the system.
This thing that I forgot to show. I think I might just show it quickly because it's related to all this health measure shit. Sussex Strategies talked about a document that they were asked to put together called Sussex Health and Care Partnership Strategic Delivery Plan. And this was made in October 2019. And I tried to find if they had COVID-19 in this document, but they don't.
We should just quickly clarify, Fred, that Sussex in Canada is part of this Sussex UK, I'm pretty sure, right?
Yeah, they are.
Is that correct? Yeah.
But this is these are the kind of reports they're being asked to do. And then there was one more thing that I wanted to talk about, but I don't think we have time. I can quickly do this. I looked at Markham Stouffville Hospital, and I looked at the stats today. Now, I used to come here, and they used to provide demographic stats along with the deaths. So you would know the person that died from COVID, how old they were. The last time I checked was April-ish. We did it on the show. And they were like between 80 and 70. There were mostly people in that age group. Maybe there was one, but we don't know the pre-existing conditions because they didn't mention that. So that, like, I want you guys to try to make fucking sense of this. So this is the case graph. This, and the line here is the weekly average. In between July and September, we were basically locked down. We had stay at home, don't fucking go anywhere. Sorry, let me rephrase that. Stores were open. You could go out to the malls. You can go out. They still had like so many people per mall you can be in, or in a restaurant. Restaurants were open the whole summer. We flatlined. People were out and about. They were in clubs, bars, restaurants, malls, stores, you name it. They were out and about. Come November, we start engaging in lockdowns. And sometime in December, we did stay-at-homes. We extended our stay-at-home till just Friday. What the fuck? Explain this to me, guys.
I can explain it in, well, two explanations. One, they just make stuff up. Number two, these tests, the PCR tests, are complete garbage.
Yep.
But
And I think
I'll accept both explanations.
I think it's likely that more people were going to get tested in the fall as well, or like in the winter, right? Now less people are going, but like the case count, yeah, whatever it is, like the same with here, man. Within, well, about 100 miles of me, there's 2 sick people. But we should all be locked down and spooky scared.
But look at this. 27,000 total result and recovered. Active 838 total confirmed deaths, but they no longer give you the age group breakdown. We will never know the pre-existing conditions, but we don't know. They don't publicize the age anymore. And like, does this look bad to you? This isn't a pandemic.
They don't publish it because they don't publish it because people like us keep reposting the stuff. 95%, 98, whatever, already recovered. It's like we're kind of shooting holes in their narrative.
Yeah, it's lies by omission, essentially.
And even if you people take even a few minutes to search, what is the definition of a case? What is the definition of a death? A quote-unquote COVID death is a death from a clinically compatible illness in a probable or confirmed case. Does that sound pretty kind of vague?
It is vague.
And they're not testing for a virus or testing for a gene. All of this is freely available. If we had real journalists in Canada, they could find all of this easily. But
moving on. I think we're going to cover this next week, and this is the United Nations University, and some of the things that they cover, and it's part of the Foresight group. And then there's this document, and Andy's already gone through this. I kind of want to read through it as well, which is weird. Not sure what nanotechnology has to do with gender in mitigation technologies.
The claim sort of is that women are going to be more affected by technological change and nanotechnology. And basically it makes the assertion that women are going to be used as guinea pigs. At least that's where I got to, and then I had to restart my computer. But it makes some interesting points. There's things in the beginning of this that are not wrong, right? It did talks about the amount of GMOs that we grow now, and that it didn't nobody really questioned it until it was already in mass production. Now we're backtracking going, well, is all of this really as safe and healthy as we pretend it is? Or it talks about the chemical companies, right? And the monopoly that they have. And like, let's say there's 7 big agri-food businesses, and they control 90% of the crop that's growing on the planet. Well, that's, could be damaging in the long run if one of their products is, say, no good. And not every country in the world has GMOs. Like we have less GMOs here in Canada. It's more strict. The United States is a different story.
Yeah, they talk about that, but when I was going through this article, they were talking about the nanotechnology, it mostly getting into the wrong hands and it being better than GMO, because GMO is like genetically enhanced, whereas nanotechnology would enhance it if required. But I think I need a more thorough read through. But like I said, this there's a lot on this, which is worth investigation. I don't understand why the United Nations is putting it under the climate change thing, but that's something we can talk about more as we delve into the nanotechnology, and it's worrisome, right? But I think that's all I got for tonight. Unless you guys want to add a few more things.
I'm all out of stuff for today. It's been a good show. Canuck, anything? You're on mute. Maybe she's not here.
She's passed out.
Sorry. No, I was on mute. Sorry.
She's there.
There's a couple
She's alive.
A couple bills anyone living rurally might be interested in. Bill C-21 and C-22 were introduced in the last 10 days or so. C-21 introduces red flag laws, so like anybody can go to the court, try to get your guns taken. Yellow flag law, so your firearms officer can pull your gun license for 30 days. Quote unquote changing the definition of a replica and some other nonsense. And Bill C-22 is cutting out mandatory minimum jail times for crimes committed with guns. So letting actual criminals, get an easier time while we make it easier to take guns of people who own them legally. So keep an eye on those.
Stuff. Cool. Also, there's the Universal Basic Income Bill. It's the words that I'm looking for. That just came out the other day that they're trying
to
guaranteed income. So we'll talk about that maybe next time.
Let's talk about it. I know about it, how it's going to work, how it's going to be implemented, and what does that mean in the long run for us.
Thanks, Andrew Yang, you cunt.
Sorry, just one last thing I want to add. Back on December 10th, there's that announcement that, we're introducing a vaccine injury compensation program. Okay, that was 2.5 months ago, and we've heard nothing since. So was this just a means of duping people to get more people vaccinated?
It's probably lip service.
Yeah. So I've heard nothing, and as far as I know, no talks are actually underway. So I would be questioning that.
Okay. So we'll get together again and pull a script together for the next show next weekend. Again, if anyone listening, if you've got mad skills in media, and if you can help Andy and I just bring up a cool intro, I'd be in your gratitude. I'm gonna close it off with a new feature, which is absolutely fucking hilarious. Eating feathers.
We got to work for sponsors.
Who's
that?
that?
I'd like to thank the Jewish banking conspiracy for sponsoring this podcast.
I was going to thank Toxic Kill for supplying us with supplements. Now, they now have 40% less heavy metals, so it's not quite as damaging. Toxic Kill is in stores now.
Yum, yum, yum. They come in chewables too, by the way.
Yes.
All right, I'm going to close this up with a man who wants us to eat fucking feathers. So, thanks, Ching Chong Ding Dong. All right, let's move to this.
This guy is.
You want to say something else?
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody in the chat for coming because,
Thank you, everyone.
Faye and Maiden and Linda and Stan and Point Fire was here earlier.
Cool.
The Reverend Jim
guys,
Jones
bringing more people in.
Yeah, don't forget to like the video for the algorithms because YouTube doesn't show us what really happens with this channel.
Yeah. All right, let's watch some young guy make meat out of fucking feathers.
Holding is not made from cows. It's not made from plants. It's made from feathers. Feathers of a chicken. Who is this guy? Why the hell is he eating feathers? And how does feather taste like? In this small lab in Bangkok is where I found Sorawut.
Hi, my name is Sorawut, and I found a way to make meat from feathers.
One day, Sorawut was walking past a slaughterhouse when he noticed people throwing away boxes after boxes of chicken feathers. Turns out, when a chicken goes to a meat factory, 90% of it is used as food and 10% of it is thrown away. Which might not seem much, but every day millions of chicken are killed for meat, which means every day millions of tons of feathers are dumped in landfills or burned away just like that.
We lost a lot of resource because feathers is high protein resource, and I think we can use this in a better way.
So he had one crazy thought.
What if we could eat the feathers?
It's a crazy question, but turns out we can, because chicken feathers are chemically similar to chicken meat. So technically speaking, with a bit of work, you could turn feather into edible meat. You just need to make it taste like meat and look like meat. So Sorawut took some feathers from a slaughterhouse, went to his lab, crushed the feathers, turned them into liquid, put in some food thickeners, mixed them up for a long time, added some spices, put the mixture into an oven, let it cook for hours, and finally the tasteless feathers were transformed into chicken meat with 0 carbs and 0 fat.
It took me almost a year to finally figure out the right recipe.
But he did it. With his method, he made feathers into dishes like this, and this. This meal looks like it came from a 5-star restaurant kitchen. And the taste?
If I wouldn't know, I'd never notice it's not real meat. It tastes just like meat.
At first, many people rejected Sorawut's idea because they thought that eating feathers was disgusting. But that all changed the moment they had one bite. At the end of the day, what's more disgusting? Chicken feathers or chicken intestines that we already eat?
I believe this is the future of the meat because in the future,